Okay, I think we can get started and then everyone else that joins, they'll catch us along as we continue with the session. So I'm gonna quickly try and come on camera, and then if my network starts to behave horribly, I'm gonna switch off my camera as we're going along the session. So this is me. Hi everyone. My name is Someleze Diko. And today we're going to look at preparing your data for AI innovation with Power BI. So this session is going to focus on how you are preparing your data inside of Microsoft Power BI to prepare it in a way that is ready for it to be consumed by Copilot and any other AI capabilities that are offered inside of obviously Power BI, but also Microsoft Fabric. So, who am I? I'm Someleze Diko. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft. I'm part of the data advocacy team. So, my team focuses on everything that has to do with data. So, from your Azure databases like your Azure SQL, your SQL databases, your Cosmos DB, your Postgres, and also Microsoft Fabric, which is the intelligent data platform that we offer at Microsoft, which I'll probably just cover as we go along the session. So my team focuses on everything that has to do with data using all of those different technologies for data. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at the overview of what Microsoft Fabric is. And then after that, we're going to look at the AI-powered experiences in Fabric. And the reason is because obviously we want to prepare the data for AI before it can be consumed in those AI-powered experiences. And I'm going to cover a little bit of what those are. And then later on, we're going to get into like the main reason why we're here on how you prepare your data for AI. Now, I've done this talk a couple of times. I must warn you beforehand, this is not the typical prepare your data session, which is you go ingest your data, you go and clean it and transform it and all of those things. It's a little bit different, but stick around. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Okay, so let's get started. If you don't know Microsoft Fabric, Fabric is an AI-ready foundation that unifies databases for analytics, insights, and governance. So what it does is it brings together operational data, your data engineering, your data science, real-time analytics, and also business intelligence under one roof. And it lets data teams move faster, obviously reuse the models that they build, the pipelines, and even build AI into every layer of Microsoft Fabric without having to manage the infrastructure. So what I also try to think of Microsoft Fabric, so majority of the time we're already exposed to something like Microsoft Office or Office 365, and Office 365 obviously is for productivity tools with Microsoft Word, your PowerPoint, your Excel, all for different reasons that you have. So for an example, you are building documents or you're writing documents using Word, you are building PowerPoint presentations, you're building spreadsheets for those specific use cases. Microsoft Fabric is in a similar way like Microsoft Office. It's just that Microsoft Fabric is a suite of analytics tools. So you have different workloads inside of Fabric that you see on your screen. Those workloads allow you to ingest your data, like for an example, using Data Factory, you ingest your data, you build queries to transform and clean your data. And then for the analytics workload, you're able to run data science, data engineering jobs on top of that data. So for an example, if you wanted to train a machine learning model on your data that you've ingested into Fabric, you can also spin up your own database inside of Fabric, so you don't have to go to a different platform. Like for an example, you don't have to go to Azure SQL to spin up an Azure SQL database, but obviously you need to know your use case as to why you're doing that. There is SQL in Fabric. There's also Cosmos DB inside of Microsoft Fabric, so you can spin up instances for those databases. If you're into real-time analytics, real-time intelligence allows you to monitor real-time data, be it it's coming from IoT devices, or you are monitoring events, let's say, for an example, or traffic that is coming from a specific e-commerce website and all of those things. And then we have Fabric IQ, which is new to the family, and we have Power BI for building visualizations and dashboards on top of the data that you've brought into Fabric, and then you cleaned it and transformed it. So the Fabric platform is made up of a few different things. Like for an example, all of those workloads are Copilot enabled, and I'm going to cover that a little bit later on. But the data that you bring into Microsoft Fabric is sitting on top of something that we called One Lake. One Lake is just basically your OneDrive for your data here inside of Microsoft Fabric, and you're able to reuse that data on all of the different workloads. So you don't have to re-upload that data or re-ingest that data. Once you've ingested it inside of Fabric, it sits on One Lake, and then you can be able to reuse it for every other use case that you may have. And then there's also governance with Microsoft Purview inside of Microsoft Fabric. Now, I mentioned Copilot. So in this case, inside of Fabric, we have AI-powered experiences, and these AI-powered experiences come in three. There's three main AI-powered experiences. You'll have the Copilot accelerated experiences, you have the chat with your data experiences, you have the build data agents for custom AI solutions. So the Copilot accelerated experiences are just that. They allow you to use Copilot to assist you in whatever it is that you are trying to do inside of Microsoft Fabric, and I'm going to cover that a little bit later on. And then the chat with your data experiences for you to interact with your data that you've cleaned, visualized inside of Microsoft Fabric. And then the build data agents for custom AI solutions, you're just building an AI agent on top of your data. So this AI agent is only has 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 your data as the knowledge source, only your data as a knowledge source, not, let's say, for an example, some of the AI agents that you may build, you might point it to a website, you might point it to a PDF document or something like that. But with data agents, you only point it to the data that you've ingested, you've cleaned, and then you've transformed that actually understands the business context of your company and so forth. So you can build an AI agent grounded with your data. It's more like your data expert or your data analyst on your data. Now, the Copilot accelerated experiences are just Copilot being built into every workload. So in this case, I'm going to cover just probably three of them. With Data Factory, like I mentioned, you are able to bring data into Microsoft Fabric, and you are able to clean it, transform it, and then after that, you can send it to a lakehouse, for an example, so that you can use it later on. Now, Copilot will then assist you. Copilot for Data Factory assists you in writing those queries where you want to clean your data or transform it, or you want to write new queries. Let's say you want to filter a specific table or a specific query based off of a specific field that you're looking for. You can ask Copilot to assist you with that instead of having to figure that out yourself inside of Microsoft Fabric. So Data Factory, whenever you are ingesting your data, what you will see is something that if you've played around with Power BI, it's something that's very similar or familiar, which is Power Query, where you are able to write queries or you are able to create queries that will allow you to ingest, clean, and transform your data. So the Copilot for Data Factory allows you or assists you in doing that rather. And then the Copilot for Data Engineering and Data Science, this is when you are able to generate code in Jupyter Notebooks. So inside of Microsoft Fabric, you can spin up a Jupyter Notebook that will allow you to do further data cleaning, for an example, or if you want to do some data engineering or you want to train machine learning models on your data. So you load the data that is in your table into a data frame. And then after that, you are able to train a machine learning model inside of Microsoft Fabric based off of the data that you have. So then Copilot for data engineering and data science assists you in giving you suggestions on, for an example, if you want to train a machine learning model based off of the data frame that you have, Copilot a can suggest a machine learning model to use because it has context of your data. And it can also assist you in writing SQL queries inside of the notebook. So the Jupyter Notebook, mainly you are writing Python code. And then the Copilot for Power BI, in this case, this is when you are able to generate code in Jupyter Notebooks. So you load the data that is in your table into a data frame. And then after that, you are able to in this case, just allows you to quickly create reports using natural language. You can get natural language summaries instead of having to, manually drag and drop everything. You just chat with it, and then it will help you build a report based off of the data that you've ingested and you have cleaned. So I'm just covering those three main ones, but even the other workloads also have co-pilots dedicated to them. Now, the next AI-powered experience inside of Microsoft Fabric is called Chat with Your Data. It just does that, which takes things a step further. The one that we were looking at, which is the Copilot Accelerated Experience, is you are using Copilot to build something. It's assisting you in building something, or it's assisting you to do something, instead of actually gaining insights from your data and so forth. So with the chat with your data experience on the other side, this is where you are having an interface where you are able to have a conversation with your data. You don't have to write complex queries, like for an example, to try and get the top 5 selling products in the previous fiscal year, for an example, compared to this fiscal year or the previous quarter or the next quarter and so forth. So I'm gonna quickly try and close my camera. I think I'm starting to lag a little bit so that we can have like better quality. Okay, awesome. So as I was saying, the chat with your data experience just allows you to have that conversation with your data. And you could ask questions like, show me a revenue or over the past 6 months, for an example, and it's just going to give you insights in natural language based off of the data that you provided. So it works well if your data is properly prepared and structured, which is if you've used Copilot or even if you've used the data factory workload to bring in your data and you transform it inside of Microsoft Fabric. Now, before you could do that, before you could chat with your data, you need to prepare the data for AI. And you can do this with this feature from Power BI that allows you to prepare your data for AI. And what this feature does, it allows you to define like a data schema that is specific for Copilot using AI data schemas. In this case, you're able to set up a data schema, or you are able to configure which fields that you want to include in some of the insights that Copilot can provide back to the users who are chatting with the data. You can also link a question that your users are asking to a specific visual by setting up verified answers. What that means is, like, we know with a lot of this chat experiences with generative AI now, is that majority of the time you ask it a question, it gives you like a reference to a link where it found the information from, or it gives you a picture, for an example. But in this case, with verified answers, you are able to give that similar capability to Copilot, where you are linking a specific kind of question or a suggested question that would be similar to what your users may ask as a verified answer, so that when Copilot is giving the response back, it will provide the insights in text format, but it will also surface a visual in front of them and say, hey, this is what you're looking for, and this is how you have it based off of the report or Power BI reports that I have access to, or the semantic model that I have access to. And then the last thing that you can do is provide the important context about your data model using AI instructions. And what this does, which is something that's very similar with a lot of this generative AI experiences, that you're able to set up system prompts or AI instructions, as you call it. What I mean by that is you go to ChatGPT, you tell it, hey, you are a data analyst and this and this, and you give it instructions on how to behave, and then when you ask it questions, it'll behave in that manner. It's similar even here with AI instructions for this feature in Power BI, where you are telling the AI to behave in a specific manner. One good example of this is if you have an entire report or a dashboard, or you have all of your data inside of your semantic model, you provide an AI instruction where you're saying, hey, we have this kind of business language to say, for an example, the busy period in our business is from October to January. So whenever users are asking you questions about the busy period, you understand that you are looking at data that is from October to January. And you'll probably see that in action as I continue along and I'll show you a demo on how to do that. So you could provide AI instructions, and those AI instructions provide context on how the business language or the language that's being used within your company is actually shaped like, and Copilot can be able to adhere to that. Now, how this looks like, right? So once you've prepared your data for AI, you can then get those refined results using the chat with your with your data Copilot experience. This is a standalone experience inside of Microsoft Fabric, and this is the reason why I even introduced Microsoft Fabric, because I cannot really showcase this feature without going into Microsoft Fabric, right? The feature is to prepare the data for AI inside of Power BI, yes, but you get value with it when you are using the standalone Copilot experience inside of Microsoft Fabric. And how this standalone Copilot looks like inside of Fabric, it looks very similar to what we're already used to. And what I mean by that is you probably have seen Microsoft 365 Copilot, and Microsoft 365 Copilot has a similar UI. And in Microsoft 365 Copilot, you ask questions. Maybe your question is related to something that was mentioned in a Teams meeting or in a specific document, or even mentioned inside of the inside of an email that you may have had back and forth with your manager and all of those things. So that experience is looking at the files that you have access to, the emails that you have access to, the recordings of Teams messages or Teams meetings that you have access to. Take that experience and apply it to data. So this is where this chat with your data in Copilot and Power BI comes into play, because it's similar in a way that you're able to ask questions to Copilot, and Copilot will go and try to find the best answer that is related to your question based off of whatever reports or artifacts that are available to Copilot that have some form of relation to what you have asked. So it could go to a Power BI report, a semantic model, it could go to a specific visual, and this is how that prepare your data for AI inside of Power BI ties in with this Copilot, but you will be able to see that. So you just chat with your data, you have a conversation, you're able to find and summarize and analyze your data across multiple reports, your semantic models, even your data agents, if you have a data agent set up inside of Microsoft Fabric as well. So it's a similar experience to the Microsoft 365 Copilot, but in this case, instead of documents or emails or Teams recordings, it's actually based off of your data when it's providing this information back to you. Now, which industries can benefit from this? It can go from different industry verticals, like for an example, the ones that you see on the screen, like in finance, it can be able to highlight the spending trends or growth opportunities. So people from finance can be able to have that conversation instead of having to go and drill into the Power BI report if you've set it up that way. And in sales, for an example, it can say which products are performing best or where customers are dropping off. And in tech, it can also help track system performance or user engagement based off of what is set up, obviously, in terms of your artifacts around your Power BI report, but also your semantic model. So the goal here isn't necessarily to replace the thinking of the people in these industries, but it's to support it by turning their data into clear, actionable insights. And I think I've spoken quite a while without showcasing anything, and I keep saying, "Oh no, you will see this later on." And I think now it's actually time for us to get into the demo and get hands-on with it and show you how you can be able to get started with preparing your data for AI and then getting value out of it. So I'm gonna unshare and then reshare because I want us to switch to my browser. Okay, share this screen now. So I'm not in my browser as of yet, right? I'm in Power BI desktop. You're able to use this feature or capability using Power BI desktop. And like I said, this feature is inside of Microsoft Power BI. It's not outside of Power BI. You can be able to use it inside of Power BI. You don't have to go into Fabric. The only time when we go to Fabric is when we're trying to gain value out of what we've been doing with this feature. Okay, so before we do that, I have this report and I have some notes on the side that I have to look at um, because there's a few visuals that we actually need to add here. So before we can prepare the data for AI and use that feature and all of those things, let's try and improve this dashboard a little bit by adding a little bit more visuals. So the first thing that I want to look at is looking at the total revenue by year. So this is the sales performance dashboard. I already have like total orders, the total revenue, but I want to drill down and look at the total revenue by year. So I'm going to try and go over here and look for a line chart. And I'm going to add it on this visual. And this will make sense as we go along. So just please trust me in what I'm doing right now. So I've added my line chart. My line chart, my thinking behind it is to look at the total revenue by each year. So where am I going to find the total revenue? I'm going to go to my data here. This is in my semantic model, the model backing this Power BI report. And I'm going to see if I can expand online order items, line items, and I'm going to go to a measure that I prepared, which is total revenue. So this measure is just looking at the total revenue made by the business. Now, for us to get the total revenue by year, I have a date table here where I can be able to just go ahead and select here. So this will give me my line chart to look at, oh, total revenue by each year, it wasn't that great from 2017, but over the years it started to improve and it went up. Right? Please don't judge my report making skills. This is just for demo purposes. It's not like an actual sales performance dashboard. Right, so I can see the total revenue by year and how it's been performing. It's been going up, and I would say for people who are at executive level, they will probably be happy to see that the revenue is increasing by each year. Then the next thing that I need to do is to look at, okay, I can see the total revenue by year. How can I then continue to drill down to this revenue that's generated by our sales, right? One way that I can do this is to look at, okay, which product is making us more money as the years go by, right? So I can do a total revenue by product name, and I can actually add another visual here, which would be a stacked column chart, which I'll add here. And then again, gonna go to online order line items in my data, and I'm gonna click total revenue, the measure that I have, right? The overall revenue that's been made in the sales. And then now the next thing is to look at the product. So I'm gonna go to my products table, and I just wanna look at which product is generating more revenue for us. So I'm gonna choose product name here, where I can be able to see, okay, this specific product is the one that's generating more revenue. And obviously, when you interact um, with with a Power BI report, when you click a visual, it's going to filter out other visuals as well. And you can see, okay, for this specific product, the total revenue by year was increasing since, let's say, around 2021 up to 2024, right? Okay, how can I also drill down more? So I'm gonna try and make space for another visual. How can I try and also do another drill down, right? So I know which product is making us money or which product is popular amongst our customers. Now I want to know which product color, for an example, is more popular with with our customers. So what relation does the product color have in terms of customer preferences in relation to our total revenue generated by that year? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add like a little old donut chart, and I'm just gonna try to expand it here. And again, same thing, go to the online order line items, and I go to the total revenue, right? I choose total revenue. And then after that, I'm going to go to the products table and just choose color. I could choose other stuff, but based off of what I'm looking for this specific dashboard or report that I am building, I just want to look at the specific color on how much are we making per product color. So if I am not mistaken, I'm reading this correctly, it seems like the orange black color is the most popular amongst our customers. And I think it's followed by the charcoal silver, right? And then you can be able to make business decisions from there. So I'm just trying to give you my thought process into why I'm adding specific visuals on this report. Now, we also have revenue by customer segment, and I want to just quickly highlight this. This is drilling down on the revenue, but looking at the specific customer segments or customer types that we have. We have athletic customers, we have casual customers, we also have like professional sports customers and extreme sports customers as well. So we can see where are we making money. Mostly it's just, I think, the athletic customers that we have here. Right. Now, where does prepare your data for AI come into play? It's going to come into play just now. The first thing that I want to do is just quickly click on Copilot because I want us to use Copilot and actually ask a question. Right. So I'm going to close these visuals here and probably just close the data as well. I want to grab a question that I already have. So I want to know what is the revenue by various customer segments. So I'm just asking questions about this specific visual, which is what is the revenue by various customer segments? And I want to see what Copilot is going to give me as a specific insight to that question that I've provided it. Right, so we're gonna wait for it a little bit, and it provides this insight to say, okay, athletic, this is the total revenue that has been made. Casual, this is the total revenue that has been made. And majority of the time, that's great. That's a great insight, but it could be better. And this is where your prep data for AI comes into play, where you want to improve the insights that Copilot is providing to your users as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is click on prep data for AI. This will give me a pop-up that has a few different options that I can be able to use the prep your data for AI feature, which is simplifying the data schema, setting up verified answers, adding AI instructions. So the first thing that we're going to do is simplify the data schema. And like I mentioned earlier on, when you try to simplify the data schema, sometimes it's just based off of what columns do you think are not necessary when it comes to the insights that you're trying to get out of Copilot or out of the AI, for an example. And in this case, like for example, maybe address is something that I do not want to see. And then maybe if I go to the products table as well, or the online order, there's an online order items. The online orders, I don't want to see billing address. Like there's no insight in my scenario that billing address is going to give me in terms of value, right? So I can simplify that AI data schema like this data schema like this by just deselecting which columns to choose so that I can just focus on the ones that are going to provide value when I'm asking questions to the AI. And then once I select apply, that should be fine. And I don't have to continue adding or even deselecting more columns. But if I wanted to add like more columns that are going to give me insight, I will just choose and select those. Then the next thing that we're going to cover would be verified answers, but let's park that for now. Let's select add AI instructions. AI instructions, I already have something that I prepped on the side. So I'm going to put in an instruction that I have here and paste it in. So here, I tell the AI in a way that if it's asked about the business to customer or business to business products, the products in the in the table whose column is customizable is set to false, those are the business to customer. Otherwise, those are business to business products. So it's when you are setting up these AI instructions, like even the one that I'm doing here, it's something that we understand with our data on saying that in the products table, we have a specific column that we know that if it's set to false, if it's is customizable, then that means that this product is a business to client. But if it's set to true, then this product is a business to business product, right? And then we add another part where we say, hey, the business season is actually October to January, and many companies probably have different busy seasons. So we give it an instruction to say, you have to look into this. And whenever someone's asking you about business to client or business to business products, just follow this guideline. If someone's asking you about the busy season, already you are looking at this guideline to say, okay, it's October to January. Then I'm going to go into the visuals or to the data to provide data about the busy season, which is October to January. So as simple as that, but it could be a bit more elaborative. But in my case, I'm just making it simple for this demo. And then I'm going to select apply. And then I'm going to close this. Now, the next thing that we need to do is just to set up verified answers. So remember that question that we asked here, which is what is the revenue by various customer segments? And we got those insights, and we want to improve those insights, right? One way that we can do that is setting up this visual as a verified answer, like I mentioned during the presentation. So if I come to this visual and I click on more options, and then I set up verified answer, I'm going to have a pop-up, and this pop-up Copilot will suggest specific phrases or questions that it thinks that people would ask it to provide insights. And I'm just going to quickly add all of these. But obviously, if I have a question that I think customers or people who are using this report or using Copilot would ask, I could then add it here as well. Once that's done, I can just select apply. And then I will do the next, I'll do the next visual to set up as a verified answer, just, just for fun. The stacked column chart once this is finished loading. And yeah, so basically when you're setting up verified answers, you're just providing Copilot with, let's say, more evidence-based insights that Copilot can then bring to the user. So that's the reason why you would set up verified answers, and it looks better when you are using it standalone experience inside of Microsoft Fabric. So I don't know why this is taking long. I think probably my device is a bit sluggish this morning. Since it's working on it. Oh yeah, it's my device is a bit sluggish, but hopefully you guys can still hear me regardless. Okay, so okay, thanks for the thumbs up. Okay, so it seems like it stopped doing what it was doing. So let's set up this visual as a verified answer. And we'll probably see again those Copilot suggestions. And again, if I ask questions that are similar to the suggestions, then Copilot will surface this visual as like evidence to support the insights that it provides me. So I'll select apply, and then I'm going to select close. And then what I'm going to try to do, since this is telling me that, so I'm going to close that. And then I'm going to ask the same question, hopefully. So let me try to ask the same question. Oh, not that one. So I'm going to ask the same question to see, or just to test if Copilot will pick up those verified answers that we just set up and will be able to provide us insights that are evidence-based. Right. So the expectation here is it'll provide that insight. in word format or natural language. And then after that, it will surface the visual to say, oh, actually, you can look at this visual, which is the revenue by customer segment, to actually to gain more insight to what you're asking or to support what Copilot has provided to the user as well. So, okay, that's checking the underlying data. Just wait for it a little bit. But whilst it's doing that, the next step will then just to show you how then this ties into Microsoft Fabric or ties into that standalone Copilot experience. Now, the one thing that I need to mention, which I normally forget to mention, is whenever you want to use features like this, like Copilot or the prep data for AI feature, you would need either a Power BI premium license or a Fabric F2 capacity, the smallest. So from F2 onwards. So if you want to play around with this AI capabilities inside of Power BI, Microsoft Fabric, then you would need that kind of licensing. Okay, so here you can be able to see that Copilot was able to answer our question, and then it just provided us the visual as an insight. And obviously, I can expand the view to interact with the visual itself. So we're not going to do this. We're going to just quickly publish this to our workspace. And where is publish? Oh, there it is. So I'm going to quickly publish this to our workspace. I have a workspace and set up inside of Microsoft Fabric. And once I've published this, it will allow me to get the semantic model that's backing this Power BI report and the Power BI report itself so that I can then be able to link the Power BI report and the semantic model to the Copilot, the standalone Copilot experience inside of Microsoft Fabric. And so while that's doing that, I'm going to try to open my browser for now. And in my browser, this is basically the Copilot the workspace that I'm using for this specific session. And a workspace is just a container of artifacts that you're using throughout your data journey inside of Microsoft Fabric. Once we've published the report, the semantic model should show up here and the Power BI report. And then after that, we'll need to use that Copilot experience. So this is something that is very similar to what you would see even with M365 Copilot. So I'm going to try and go back here. And it's going to ask me to choose a workspace. So that's the workspace that I have. I'm going to select that workspace. I hope it is publishing, otherwise, there it is. So it's going to publish the report, and then it's going to publish the semantic model into the workspace, and then we can then be able to have access with it. But basically, that is what I wanted to show you. And then this is how to gain value out of that, having evidence-backed answers from the Copilot or from AI, instead of just having natural language trying to get Copilot to figure out how to make its own interpretations on what you mean or what a user mean based off of the question that they have asked the Copilot as well. So you more value with just setting this up inside of Power BI as something still publishing for a while. So if I come back to my browser, so I'm going to try to go back to my browser. And then in my browser, so I'm going to hit refresh. It seems like it's not done. But once it is done, the only thing that we need to do is to just click on Copilot, and we will see this Copilot experience, which is a standalone Copilot experience. We can ask questions about the data, for an example. And if we click, for example, add content, we can choose which reports, which semantic models, which data agents that we want. Actually, it seems like it finished publishing. So We're gonna ask a question quickly. So hopefully those verified answers are picked up inside of Microsoft Fabric. And we're gonna ask the questions here. So I'm gonna ask the question on showing revenue trends by the product's name. And in this case, I need to choose the Power BI report. So I'm going to choose the Power BI report, which obviously will allow us to get like a much more accurate response from Copilot. So if I hit send, usually in the past, by the way, that I've noticed is that you would be able to add more than just one artifact that you want Copilot um, to give response with. But lately, I've been noticing that you are only allowed to add one. Maybe it's a licensing issue, but that's something I'm still going to look into. So if you are trying this out and maybe it's behaving this way, don't worry, it's also behaving this way for me. So it's something that I'm definitely looking into to just see what's going on there. But basically, that's just what I wanted to show you. Um, how you can be able to prep your data for AI, and then how AI can use that data that was prepared as a way to ground itself whenever you are chatting or your users or your customers are chatting with your data. And like as I've asked this question, for an example, you can see that Copilot provided me with an answer, and then it provided me with the visual from our dashboard as well. And it provided another visual as well, which is that card that we set up there at the top as well. I can also explore this answer, so I can expand the view. Um,
Someleze.
yes.
Okay, it just went a little fully staticky. We couldn't hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, we can hear you clearly now.
Okay, so when you explore the data, it'll give you a pop-up, and this pop-up is when you are interacting with the visual as if you are inside of Power BI desktop, or you are creating the report itself. And if you choose, like, you can change the visuals that you want to showcase the data with. Like you could change it to a clustered column chart or a stacked column chart, or all of those things. You can change the visual. Now, the big question would be, does this change the report in the backend? No, it doesn't. It's just a visual that you are interacting with. You can also save it, but it's based off of the question that you asked Copilot with, and you can obviously add the filters that you may have and so forth. Yeah, but I'm going to stop there with the demo. That's what I wanted to show you, how you can prepare your data for AI, and then how you can then use that prepared data with AI and see it in action in terms of interacting with AI to look into your data using natural language and using that data as evidence. So I'm gonna try and go back to my slides. In the slide, I just have another slide that's going to show you links that you can go to, and those links that you can go to will help you. Basically, they will help you learn more about the specific feature that we've been talking about today, and how obviously it ties into Microsoft Fabric and so forth. So I'll just leave this on the screen. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to just ask me, whether on chat or I don't think you can come off of mute, or you can come off of mute and you can ask me that question directly. But you can scan the QR code to learn more about how to set up an AI data schema, verified answers, and AI instructions using this specific feature.
All right. Is there any room for, is there anyone who has a question? We still have about 10 minutes, so you're more than welcome to ask your questions now, before we wrap it up. Okay, it doesn't look like there are questions, just a whole lot of applause. So thank you so much, Someleze, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to come and just educate us a little bit more on Microsoft Fabric, which I will admit I didn't know a lot about before today. So thank you so much, for a very informative lesson. I'm sure that everybody gained something and got some ideas on new ways to work going forward. But yeah, feel free to reach out to Someleze if you have any more questions, or connect with him on LinkedIn to see what he's up to. Dwayne, yeah, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if I can use his at Microsoft email to just ping him any questions I have on the session.
Oh, I don't know. That's
I don't think I have you on LinkedIn.
Someleze.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Please be sure to keep up with the CollabDays SA page just to see what the next so the next webinar we're having is on the 16th of April. The announcement will go up sometime next week with the speaker and the topic that will be shared. So just keep your eyes out for that. But thank you so much everyone for coming, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye everyone.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
thanks so much.